Did you know that the Sinaloa Cartel is currently embroiled in a brutal power battle between the sons of imprisoned King Joaquin Guzman and his former partner, Ismael El Mayo Zambada, with the assistance of El Nini and El Russo? The primary hitmen of the leaders of the cartel? What could have caused this? What could have brought the hitmen into the spotlight? And how relevant could the hitmen be to the conflict are all questions that need answering. In the video that we got for you today, we will address some of these questions that you have regarding El Ruso and El Nini. Stay tuned to the very end because I'm just going to dive right in. Just as I previously stated, El Nini and El Ruso are the principal hitmen for the Sinaloa Cartel's top brass, but they work for separate people. El Ruso has been identified as the head hitman of Ismael Zambada Garcia. El Mayo, a longtime supreme leader of the Sinaloa Cartel. This group conflicts with Los Chapitos, a division of the same criminal organization led by the sons of Joaquin Guzman Loera, aka El Chapo, and employing El Nini as its head of hitmen. The wave of violence that has recently resurfaced in Sinaloa, particularly in the Culiacan and its surrounding area, is allegedly the result of a split in the partnership between the sons of the Chapo Guzman and El Mayo Zambada, according to journalistic and intelligence accounts of the federal government. The Mexican government believes that Nestor Isidro Garcia is El Nini, but the United States government knows him as Nestor Ernesto Perez Salas, also known as El O9 or Chicken Little. According to the news website infobay.com, El Nini is reportedly a young man who's 28 years old and from the municipality of Aguascalientes de Garate, which is 39 kilometers from Mazatlan. Nestor Ernesto Perez Salas, known as the Nini, is the head of the Ninis, the security branch of the Chapitos, one of the clans of which the Sinaloa Cartel was divided and led by Ivan Archibaldo Guzman Salazar, also known as El Chapo Guzman, according to documents created by the Strategic Intelligence Unit of the DEA, the United States Drug Enforcement Administration, whereas the identity of El Ruso was given as Miguel Angel Gaxiola, or Alejandro Sanchez. There is no other information available on him. Are you not surprised? Because the Sinaloa Cartel was not known for this kind of internal dispute? Although it is a known truth that the Sinaloa Cartel is a global criminal organization and one of the most potent trafficking syndicates in the world, its headquarters are in Culiacan, in Mexico's Sinaloa state. Its roots can still be traced back to the Guadalajara Cartel, one of Mexico's biggest organized criminal groups in the early 1980s. As you're aware, origins never change. The cartel had activities in more than 50 nations at the beginning of the 21st century, but it was most potent in the United States. The majority of illegal substances, including marijuana, cocaine, heroin, and amphetamines, were reportedly transported into its northern neighbor from Mexico at the time, according to sources. In 2015, U.S. officials asserted that Sinaloa controlled the coke markets in practically all states. Its yearly income was estimated to be between $3 and $39 billion. The Sinaloa Cartel continued to be primarily focused on coke trafficking, while other organizations expanded into extortion and human trafficking, among other operations. The Sinaloa Cartel has been divided into four major factions since the United States imprisoned its most capable and notorious capo, Joaquin El Chapo Guzman Loera, the shrewd old-timer Ismael El Mayo Zambada, Rafael Caro Quintero, one of the co-founders of the Guadalajara Cartel, El Chapo's brother Aureliano, El Guano Guzman Loera, and El Chapo's four sons, known collectively as Los Chapitos. The Sinaloa Cartel presents itself as a buttoned-down criminal organization, whose oppressive authority is accompanied by regularity and some amount of moderation. One of the most distinguishing features of the Sinaloa Cartel has been a rather strategic use of violence to establish its dominance in a way that allows local business owners, politicians, and residents to adapt in predictable ways. However, lately, this hasn't been the case. This has allowed the Sinaloa Cartel to maintain its grip on the region for as long as it's existed. In recent times, however, this hasn't been the case. Even as far back as 20 years ago, El Chapo initiated aggression battles in Ciudad Juarez, Tijuana, and other places, sometimes in response to provocation, and other times without provocation. Now, the sons of the Mexican cartel kingpin Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, who is currently imprisoned, have given orders to his hitmen to oust one of their father's former senior lieutenants from the Sinaloa Cartel. The current problem at hand is that Los Chapitos and El Mayo Zambada both want to maintain the total authority of the plaza in Culiacan. This marked the beginning of the competition between El Ruso and El Nini. Expert on cartels and former U.S. Federal Marshal Robert Almonte described the dynamics between the two organizations and how the violence has gotten worse recently. El Nini poses a threat in that he's very loyal to the Chapitos, Chapo's sons, and he works as the lead enforcer for them and is a very close advisor. He shared, El Nini apparently doesn't trust El Mayo, and I don't think El Chapo's sons trust El Mayo either. El Nino does not care for El Mayo's lead enforcer known as El Russo, Miguel Angel Gaxiola. The Russian and El Nini have had some significant disagreements on the operations of the Sinaloa cartel, involving some acts of violence, he added. Tension and animosity between the two groups came to a head when gangs who were believed to be loyal to El Chapo's kids assaulted and killed several members of El Mayo's troops in the rural community of Tabache in the state of Sinaloa. The local media reported that Los Chapitos were responsible for the murders, and all of the victims were found to be armed with military rifles, as well as bulletproof vests. El Chapo's kids would probably prevail in a full-scale conflict, according to Robert Almonte. And El Mayo's faction, in his opinion, is the most vulnerable, he claimed. I believe that the Chapitos have the advantage because they're much younger than El Mayo, who is 72 years old. My guess is that more Sinaloa cartel members would side with the Chapitos, out of loyalty to Chapo Guzman. According to the Sinaloa Weekly, Rodoche, the rivalry between these two hitmen started in November 2019, when El Nini, accompanied by 8 clone Sinaloa police fans, entered the Agua Caliente region, which is located on the north of the Culiacan, and it's under the control of El Russo, the leader of Mayo Zambada's assassins. According to some accounts that Rodechi compiled, one of the assassins claimed that during the conversation they were pure Ivan, and the Lord El Mayo was worth a mother to them. It was an appalling lack of respect for the material. After a few hours or days, the Mayos inquired about the boy, but his parents refused to hand him over to them. According to the publication, a few days later, a dead man was discovered on one side, and then another dead man was discovered on the other side. Conflicts between members of Mayo and Los Chapitos have also been reported by Tijuana Zeta Weekly, as a result of several gunmen who had served Los Chapitos and Chapo Guzman switching sides to join El Mayo Zambada's armed force. Since then, many journalistic accounts have indicated a split in the leadership of the Sinaloa cartel, implying that the children of Joaquin El Chapo Guzman Loera no longer recognize Ismael El Mayo Zambada as his father's successor at the helm of the cartel. Truly, this is the conclusion that can be drawn from all of these incidents. According to certain journalistic versions that quote federal government officials, the Chapitos started to lose sympathy by attacking members of the same cartel. This did not happen while Chapo Guzman was in command because there was an agreement for the control of plazas. The conflict between the two sides started in 2018 during Chapo Guzman's trial in New York, when Jess and Vicente Zambada, Mayo's brother and son, testified on behalf of the prosecutor's office intending to make a profit on their convictions, which caused Chapo to be sentenced to life in prison. Russo and Mayo Zambada are at odds, and one incident that escalated the conflict took place a month after the Culiacanazo, when assassins from both sides aired their differences on who held the greater position inside the Sinaloa cartel. Nestor Isidro Garca, Nestor Ernesto Perez Salas, Nini, 09, and or Chicken Little were on the side of the Chapitos during the initial local dispute in Agua Caliente. Later on, the conflict pursued both sides into other regions such as Tapuche in Sinaloa, Valle de Mexicali, and San Luis Rio Colorado in Sonora, where it left in its wake many homicides, violent confrontations, and dread among the populace that have been caught in the center of the war. Over the past 3 years, this had been going on, and as a result, operators who respond to one group or another have been affected by it as collateral damage. Despite this, it is possible to assert that the Sinaloa cartel continues to exercise authoritarian and unaccountable dominance, which is supported by violence, even if it's calibrated. But for those who have put up with it because they have no trustworthy protection from the Mexican government, the Sinaloa cartel's authority is much preferable to ongoing hostilities between other criminal organizations. If you have any questions that haven't been answered in today's video, please let us know in the comment section below, and if you haven't done so already, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of our incredible videos. Keep an eye out for the next video.